You're welcome. In this video, we learn Python with simple programs. So this one is part 1 of 100. That means we want to bring it out 100 videos of this type. Therefore, using simple programs, you can learn the Python. So this is one series. So we have 3 series basically. You can learn the Python day wise. So there we'll explain you the concept. Explain the concept of Python each chapter wise. That is on day wise. The other one is simple programs. The other one is small projects. So therefore keep watching all the videos. You will learn more here. Also these programs are available in our website. We provide a link in a description. But we suggest you to write down all these programs and try yourself by typing. Therefore, your chance of learning will be increases, and also you can be master the Python. Fine. Let us start with the small programs. So here is the first one. Program to find the entire number is even or odd. So we know like when a given number is given, and if you divide the number by 2, if you get the remainder 0, then that is a even, and if you get a 1, that is a odd. So here is a program. So we'll take number is equal to 5 in the beginning. Then we'll check if number remainder. We want to get the remainder. Therefore, you are using the percentage symbol here by 2. So percentage of 2 means it should give me the remainder. Okay. So the remainder is equal to 0. Then the number is even. Else the number is odd. That will be get printed. Fine. So let me execute it. So the 5 is a odd. Now you can put 4 over here. So 4 is a even number. So you can try at least 2-3 times by giving the different numbers. Next, so instead of R code, so R code means what? Static number. So here if I say 4, it is always 4 only. Each time when I execute this, you will have a 4 only. We don't want that. So what we want is a dynamic number. So in order to get the dynamic number, user has to enter. In order to user has to enter, we have an input function here. Input, enter the number. So this will be displayed on screen. Then whatever the number you enter, it will be converted into integer. We want to convert into integer, and then we want to transfer to the num. So for here, so input function and then conversion function called as a int, and then that value will be transferred to the num variable. Here is a number variable. Then number percentage of 2, again we will divide by 2 and we'll check the remainder. So if the remainder is equal to 0, it's a even number. Otherwise it's a odd number. Fine. So now let us run it. So enter the number. Let's say 9. So 9 is an odd number. So again you can run this. Let's say 22. 22 is an even number. Fine. So this working fine. So therefore you just write on this and then try this program. So understand like how to find the even number or odd number. And the percentage symbol. Percentage symbol, what it do? So it will divide the number by 2 and it will give the remainder. So the remainder we want to check with the this value 0, and if it is equal to 0, then is a even. So hope you understand this. If you have any doubts, please write it in the comment box. So we'll go to the next one. So here is a program to find a number is a prime or not. Whether it is a prime number or not a prime number. So how do we find whether a number is a prime number? If the number is divided by itself and divided by 1, then it's a prime number. That means any number divided by itself or by 1 is called as a prime number. If it is divided by any other number, then it's not a prime number. So here we take example, number is equal to 6. First initially we assign 6 to this. Then how do we check? So if number greater than 1, so is the 1 is a prime number. We start with the 1 because that is divided by itself and 1 is only there. So therefore this is the 1. Next one, for I in range to number. Okay, whatever the number you given, so up to that. If you give 3, 2 to 3. If you give 5, 2 to 5. So therefore I will take the from 2 the next number up to the what number you given. In case of 6, so first time it is 2, then it is 3, then it is 4, then it is 5, then it will become 6. Okay, up to that it will work. The for loop will work up to 6. Next what happen? Number divided by I. then the remainder will be provided. If the remainder is equal to 0, so that means first this number is 6, that is divided by 2. Because 1 anyhow it will divide, so that is okay. But 2 when you divide the 2, you will get 0. So 2 3s are 6, so therefore 0 will come. So then it says that number is not a prime number, we will break. So we are using the break function here, so we used to break the loop, for loop. So therefore it should go out of the conditions, right? So next one, else it says a prime number. Once it's completed, if not within this loop, so for else, okay, once this get over, it go to else part, so it's a prime number, it will print as a prime number, right? So if less than 1, then we'll print is not a prime number here. So this is a concept here. So let me run and I'll show you this. So 6 is not a prime number because 6 will divide by 2, even 3, so therefore it's not a prime number. So let's give another number. Let's give 3. 3 is a prime number? Yes. So let me run. So 3, sorry, you're not saved actually, so you have to save the program. Let me run. So 3 is a prime number, right? So now instead of hard code it, instead of default entering the value, so we'll ask the user to enter the value. So again same thing what we discussed in the previous example. So now you can enter the whatever the number you want. You say I want to find whether 121 is a prime number or not. Is a prime number? Let me check. So it's not a prime number because it will divide by itself and the 1 only, so therefore it's not a prime number. So let me try another number. Let's say 122. It's a prime number? Yes. Okay, it's a, sorry, it's not a prime number. 122. It's a prime number, right? Right? So it's showing as a not a prime number is correct actually. So let me check it once again. 122. So it's not a prime number because it can be divided by 2. So definitely it's not a prime number. So anything, any number at the end it's out 2. So probably it's going to divide by the 2. So therefore it's not a prime number. So let's try another number. So let's say 125. So easily you can say that it is divided by 5. So it's not a prime number. Therefore it's not a prime number. So try for some numbers and see that the program is working fine. So then you can also make some changes to this program if needed. Like for example, whenever you display number, prime number or not, we can put the lines and all we can do, so that you can try it out. We'll move to the next one. So here is the data types. So let's understand data types and we do some calculations in the data types. So particularly we talk about the numbers and then we'll try to use the type function to find out what type it is. Right. So when you talk about the data types here, there are 3 data types. One is integer, float and then complex. Python will have the basic 3 number types. One is integer, float, complex. What is integer? Integer is any number. So this is any number. It may be negative number or positive number. Okay, including 0. Whereas when you say float, float is a decimal. Okay, so it will along with the number, it will have a decimal value. May have, may not have, but generally when you say float, it will have the decimal value. So complex is the j. So with number j present, then is a complex number. Right, here is an example. X is equal to 1, it is an integer. Y is equal to 2.8, then it is a float. And z is equal to 1j, so or 2j, we can take as a 2j. Right, just j is a imaginary. Right, it is a complex number. Now there is a function called the type to find what it is, what type it is. Right, so now you can write on here, in case I want to write x is comma. So in this case what is x is? Okay, x is what type it is. Then I can say y type. So then you can say z. Okay, so let's save this and when I execute this, you can see that the result will come. So x is of class integer. Okay, it's of integer type. So y is float and z is complex. So in a program you want to know what type it is. When you have a variable, you want to know the type. Okay, so when you want to know the type, you can use a function called as a type and then give the variable name. Then it will show the type of the function, so what type it is. So therefore, sometimes when you have a large calculations, so without knowing the type, if you try to do some calculation, error may occur. So in order to solve that problems, we can use the type. Fine. So we will move on. Then here is a integer. So integer is mainly whole number. Okay. So that is a negative or positive number. Here what we want to do is we want to take the different numbers. So integer can take any number. What big number? So it take very long number. It depends on the memory, how much memory you are having. So you can have very big number, and it can also take the negative number with 0, 1 to any number, right? So therefore, when you have integer can take a very long number or negative number. So let me run this. So you can see that all the three are integer only. Even though it's so big, they are the integer only. All the three are integers only. Fine. Next is a float. So in case of float, as we discussed already, so the number will have the decimal value. When it has a decimal value, it indicates it's a float. So you can see that 1.1, 1.0, you can have some large decimal value. Let's say, fine. So it's a large decimal value and negative decimal value. So and then also all these three is of the type float. You can see that all the three are the float type. So next one is complex. So one more thing about the float. Float can take e. E means 10 to the power of. Okay. So now I'll show you like how it takes. So here let's make it simple. 10 to the power of 1 to the power of 10. Okay. E to the power of 10. So what is the e to the power of 10? 10 only, right? No, 1 to the power of 10 is okay. So 10 to the power of 10. So 10 means 10 times. So 10 zeros. Okay. So power 10 indicates that how many zeros like. So here I'll take 1. Okay. So that means 10 to the power of 1. That means multiply 1 with the 10. E to the 10 to the power of 1. 10 to the power of 1 means 10 1 times. So let us check it. Print x. So you can see that 10 to the power of 1 is 1 into 10 to the power of 1. Okay, it's a 10 only. So it's a 10 and all are float type. So therefore here we can say E, capital E or small e indicates is 10 to the power of. Here it is 100. Okay, so when it's 100, how much it's coming? So let me show you again. So here you can see that it's a float type, but what is the value? 87, after that 100 zeros. Okay, so quite big number. Let's say print Z. You can print the Y also. Let's say print Y. So we'll print all the values. So e to the power of 101. Okay, so whereas in this case 12. So 4 zeros. Okay, here is a 4 zeros. So here is 8.1 e to the power of 101. So because it's a quite large number, 100 digits has to come. Therefore, it's put to the power e to the power of 101. So we'll move on. So next one is a complex. Okay, so let's understand the complex. So here is a complex number. So always complex number will have the j with the number j. So it can be negative or positive or regular just number. All this as the complex numbers. Save and then we can run this. So all are complex. So next we talk about conversions like. So integer, float, complex. So we can convert them from one to other. So now x is equal to 1, float 2.8, 1j. Float x, okay, so that what is 1 is there that we want to convert into float format. Then y that we want to convert into integer format. Complex x, whatever x is there that you want to make it as a complex. Then we want to print. Okay, so let's print that values. So you can see that 1.0. So when you say float, point will come. So when you're converting into integer, so instead of 2.8 it becomes 2. The decimal part will go off. So this complex x is a 1 actually. So 0j. So it will add the 0j to the complex. Fine. So this is how it prints, and then you can check the type and corresponding value. Type and the corresponding. What is the type of A, B, C now, and what is the corresponding value of them? Not saved. Okay. Now it's saved. Okay. So now you can see that float. Okay. Because we are converting it to float. So A is float now, and the value is 1.0. So second one integer, because earlier it is a float. You can see y is float here, but we convert the y to b, so that is integer. Now it becomes integer. Right. Next one is a complex. So this we want to convert x into complex, therefore it becomes a complex now. So you can do a lot of addition, multiplications and all these things. So this gives a basic idea. What are the types? 3 types. One is integer, float, complex, and we can convert these values from one to other type. Right. So we'll move on. We'll go to the next one, the fourth program. So to generate the random number. So random number. So you need to generate the random number. You need to import random module. So there is a random file which is there in the Python library or Python folder that has to be imported. So on importing that, so we can able to generate the random number. So random.random will generate the random number so that we can able to print it. So let's execute this. You can see that random number is generated. So generally by default random number generate in between the 0 and 1. 0 and 1. So it gives a lot of decimal values. So but by random it will going to give the, but if we don't want this one, then we can move on and we check it out as a range actually. So range is okay because we can print the value between the range, what range we want. For example, I want a number between 0 and 1, okay, between whether it should be 0 or it may be 1. We don't want anything else. In that case, we can say random.range. We can give the range. So earlier it's a random, so this gives the random value, that is a decimal value, whereas in this case is a range, rand range. So what are the numbers you are given? So for that is a range, okay, this is a starting number and this is the end number between these two. Now in this case we want 1 or 0. So now first time it's going 0. Now again I will going to run this. So 0 again 0, sorry, okay, again I'll just increase the value, let me say 10, okay, 0 to 10. So 5, 6, 9, 5, at least 0 to at least 1 has to come at least one time, so it's not coming. 0, okay, so please try this. It's supposed to come 0 or 1, okay, so sometime. Then, so let's see that we print the random number 3 times. Okay, this time what I'll do is I'll take all 10 only, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. So this will going to remark it. So same numbers, range is same, but 3 times you want to print. So means each time it should give me the different numbers. 7, 5, 8. Okay. So when I execute this, it's giving the different numbers. 4, 3, 3. Sometimes it will give the same numbers. So 4, 8, 4. 6, 4, 6. 9, 9, 2. 1, 6, 2. Okay. So therefore it will randomly generate the numbers. There is one more option here. So to generate steps. So if you say 0 to 100, steps of 5. Mean you want to give 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 like that. Then you can give the step also. So the general syntax is rand range beginning end step. Okay, it is a step of 5. Each time when you execute this, you will get 0 now, you will get 95, so 15, so it's a multiple of 5, so therefore there is a step. So with this maybe you can write a one program, simple program to guess the number. Guess the number. So you need to guess the number between 1 to 0 to 10. So 0 to 10. So now I'll run the program. What is your guess? 5, 6. Again 5, no 7. So therefore you can write one guess program. So via random functions. So we'll move on. Next there is a random integer a comma b. So therefore we want to print the integer. It's almost like a range only. So but there is a function also called as a int available. So we can print between the two numbers. So here is a and here is a b, and within these two numbers we want to print the value. So it works like a range only. There is not much difference here. So therefore the concept is almost same. So okay, next option is there is a choice to generate the random number from the given list. So now instead of take from value to to value, we can give the numbers. Within that it should print the value. Fine. So now you can see here, print a random number from the list. Then what is the random number? 1, 4, 8, 10, 3. So within these numbers only it should give me one number. Within these numbers there are 5 numbers. Within this it should print only one. That time we can use the choice function. Right. So now we can execute this. So from the list is 8. Okay. So 8 is there. So that is correct. Execute again. 10. So there is a 10 here. Fine. Execute again. 8. So again you get the 8. Execute again. Sorry, 8 again only. 4. So therefore it will only show you the value which is there in the list. Fine. So random, we understand. So basically random number is to generate the random number. So remember to import the random module. So we'll move on. We'll go to next one. Find the factorial of a number. Find the factorial of a number. So what is the factorial? So when I say factorial of 4 means 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. That means it is 24. 4 into 3, 12, 12 into 2, 24 into 1. Okay, right. So now let's try with this one only. Let's say try for the 4 only. We're supposed to get the 4. So how to find the factorial? Maybe without seeing this program, maybe you can try to write. Okay, so for later you can compare whatever you written with this program. So here is a program, simple program. Factor is equal to 1. So in the beginning we say it's equal to 1. If num is less than 0, sorry, factorial does not exist for a negative numbers. Mean less than 0 is a negative number, therefore immediately we'll say sorry. Then else if is equal to 0, so factorial of 0 is 1. Factorial of 0 is 1. Why 0 is 1? Because when you keep on multiplying, so when you come to 0, so you can't multiply the whole thing with 0. Then if you multiply the whole thing with 0, it becomes 0. So therefore it is a 1 actually. Else, if not 0 or 1, then what we can do is we take for I in range 1, num plus 1. So num is already 1 actually. Sorry, num is 4 actually. Fine. So it's a range 1 num plus 1. So in this, within this range you should take the I value. So I value 1, 2, 3, 4. So it go there. Factorial in the beginning, factorial is equal to 1. Then 1 into 1, 1 only. Then 1 into 2, 2 only. Then it's already 2 here. 2 into 3, 6. Then 6 into 4, 24. Right. So let's see that what is the result we are getting. Right. So the factorial of 4 is 24. So if you want to know how exactly prints, so you can say print I. So print I will show like how many times this rotated, right? The loop is executed. You can see that loop is executed 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to know each time what is the corresponding value, then you can say comma, then you can give some space, hyphen, then factorial. So factorial of the corresponding value. Okay, so first time it is 1, second time when the loop runs it's 2, and third time loop runs it's 2 into 3, sorry, yeah, 3 into 2, 6, next 4 into 6, 24. Fine, now we can able to find for any number. Let's say if you want to find for the number, I'll take the input value from the user. So enter the number. So let's say I want to find the factorial of 10. How much it is? So it's a quite big number. Okay, so now factorial of 4 you found. What is a 5? So 24 into 5 is 120. Done. So then 6. So like that we can find the for each number. Fine. So of that, like now you can find the factorial of the number. Great. So we'll move on. Next one. Here is a program to find what are the string you enter is a vowel or consonant. So if you give a character, we need to figure it out whether it is a vowel or consonant. Which are the vowels? So vowels are A, E, I, O, U. So these are the vowels. So it may be capital or small. So therefore A, E, I, O, U. Fine. So then when you enter a character, we will check whether it is a capital A or small a or E or I or O or U. Okay, fine. So if that is true, then it is a vowel, else is a consonant. Fine. So therefore simple program with the if condition, but lot of R functions are used here. R, so many R. Any one is true, then it becomes a vowel. If not into this list, it's not a vowel. Right. So let's run. Let me put A. So A is a vowel. Fine. So next time I'll put U. U is a vowel. Again I'll run K. K is a consonant. Fine. So here we can check what are the character you entered, whether it is a vowel or not. Next, so if you enter a string, okay, if you enter a word, so we need to find out how many are vowel or how many are characters. So try to write that program without seeing this program, then you realize how easy or how tough it is. Fine, anyhow I'll show you now. So input a word, so counter is equal to 0. For ch in str, so what are the characters you enter? Each character will take, counter is counter plus 1. Then for each characters we want to check it out here. Ch is a single character, okay. In the total string, first will take one character, will take up to the end of the characters. Then print that particular letter is a vowel or consonant. Right. So now let us execute this. Enter a word. I'll put as a Raj. So in that 3 letters R consonant, A vowel, J consonant. Fine, it's working fine. So let's put one more thing. So Control T, will put Python only. Python. So here is all consonant except the O. O is a vowel. Fine, just great working. So therefore any word you can just figure it out. Even is for searching also, in any word you want to search for the particular key or particular word, particular letter, you can use this concept and you can do bigger projects or bigger programs. So this is basically to check whether is a character is a vowel or consonant. So we'll move on. So here is a multiplication table. You want to print the multiplication table. Before printing the multiplication table, so let's use the while function. So here is a while function, num less than 10. Then print num, then num is equal to num plus 1. So you shouldn't forget the increment it. So if you forget to increment, then it go to endless loop, because it's always 10 only. Sorry, it's always 1 only, because num is equal to 1. So when you are not incrementing, it's always 1 only. So it becomes endless loop. Therefore, you are not supposed to forget for the increment. Fine. So here what happened? So first we'll print up to 9, okay, less than 9 we given, so therefore it's, sorry, less than 10, it means up to 9 only. If it's equal to 10, then it's print up to 10, okay, like it's print the numbers. Now what we want to do is, we want to print the multiplication table. So if we want to print the multiplication table, so which table? So first we'll start the 2's table, okay, so then you can say comma, first number has to come, so therefore you can say 2, then comma, then space into, then comma, concatenating, then this number 1 2 3 4, right? Then we want to multiply with this into this number num equals, okay, there is a more equal required, so that is equal to equals comma. Fine. So 2 num 2 into num. Great. So now you can see that 2 tens are 20. Fine. There is alignment problem. So therefore it should be aligned to the right side. How do we do the align? So if at all if you want to do the align, then you have to use the format functions. So there is a video for that. If you are not yet watched, please watch that video. So now here, so first the number 2 is constant, right? Then space into, then the number has to come here. Number should align to the right side. Then it take 2 digits maximum. Okay, I'll take it to 3 digits. Then equal, then again the final number, again colon 3 digits, then close, then format. This is num comma num into 2, right? Okay, so let us remark this. So we don't want to print this. So let me check this. Alt. There is some problem here. Num plus 1. Okay, maybe problem here. So there is one more bracket is required, the closing bracket. And now you can see that this right side is aligned properly. Here is right side is aligned properly. Fine, working great. Next, what we do is we want to print for all the numbers. So then we take one more number. Let's say n is equal to 1. Okay, so otherwise we put the one more loop. Okay, so n is equal to 1. Then you can say while n less than or is equal to 20, up to 20 we want to print. So these things comes to right side, right? Then you want to increment the n. Okay, let's say n is equal to 0. Then you can say n is equal to n plus 1. Fine, it will do the job. So then we have to change here. So this is num. Okay, so that num is correct, and this num. So this 2 instead of 2, it's a n. And here also it's supposed to be n. And okay, 3 only, let's keep. So therefore this is n comma num. Then so this should be, once it's reached 10, okay, so that it closes, so it will go outside the loop. Fine. So let's run this. Continue. So you have to put num is equal to again 1. So therefore you need to 1. So here it is not necessary, because inside the loop you have to make the num is equal to 1. Every time num should be 1. So save this and then execute. So you can see that now we have all the up to 21. Okay, it's great. So now you want to put one line after that, print, close this, and then you can give one more print, double quotes, one space over there. So this is less than 20. Okay. So here is a print, small print, not capital. So you just have to make the small. Okay, so the line is coming everywhere. So the line should not come everywhere. Line has to come only at the end. So therefore, it's supposed to be there here. Okay. So now we have the up to 20. No, it's not multiplied here. Okay, it's multiplied 190. Right. So this is about the multiplication table. Try it out. There are many ways we can do. This is what one example. So please practice this. So then we'll move to the next one. Length of the string. So and then you can reverse the string. So to find the length of the string, you can see that for s in str, we check each letter and then we'll put into the counter and then we'll go to count that one. So let's execute straight away. Please enter the string. Let's say Python. So 6. So totally length is 6. Now we want to reverse this. How do we reverse this? So we can use the same concept. So let's say we take another variable called as str1. Okay, so it's empty. So then here, okay, so here what we do is there is a counter here, fine, but each character is available in the yes. So here we can declare str is equal to 1 is equal to empty, then str1 is equal to, now what are the characters? So that character is an s, so then plus str1. Now what will happen? So in the beginning it's empty, one character will come, that will come here, then that will go to str. So in case of Python, if you take p will be there here. Next y will come, so then y will go p. Now y will go to the right side. Okay, let me execute this and show you. So this is Python. So therefore it becomes reversed here. The word is reversed. So if you take str plus s on this side, it will give the same word. But if you take s plus then str on the right side, then it will be reversed. So this is how you can reverse the string. Move on. So we'll go to find the area of a triangle. You want to find the area of a triangle. So what is the formula? That is base into height divided by 2. So therefore you need to enter the base and height. So here is a 4 by 4. So 16 by 2, 8. Okay, so therefore it will give 8. So let me execute this. Right, it's 8. Okay. Now you can take the values. You can read the value. So this you don't require. So what is our width? So let's say width is 45. What is the height? Height is 20. So that total area is 450. So there's another method here. So please try this. So I'll go to the last one. Here is a program to find the simple interest. So we take the simple interest. By default, these are the values he is passing. Right. So P is let's say 1000, and period is 6 years. Interest at the 8%. Let's say 10%, or let's say 1 year. What for 1 year? How much it is? Okay. So simple it is 100. So because it's 1%, interest. Sorry, with 1 year interest is 10%. 10% of 1000 is 100. It's correct. So now if it's for 2 years, so 200. Alright, so number of years, if you keep on increases, the value changes. Now please instead of putting the values here, you have to read the value from the user and pass that value to the simple interest here. So it's a defined function. So your function is defined and we are calling here. Now read the input value, then pass the values to the function. Please try this, and hope you can do that. So if you have any doubts, please write it in the comment box. Let me know what you are thinking. So if you're not yet subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel, and please share this video with your friends. Thank you very much.